So I'm here with the Grimms backstage at the Psychomania Rumble, and I wanted to ask you guys, same thing, why do you think that in Southern California that the scene is so Mexican-American? Like, why did it really take root in that community?
Well, maybe like we said earlier, the greaser community is a lot of Hispanic people, and from there, I guess it would like branched out into psychobilly, and then they started picking it up from like little bands, and then from there it kind of like it spread out throughout LA.
Yes.
They started off with the rockabilly music, and after that they just branched on into psychobilly. So from there on, just having friends and stuff, everyone just spreads, and
Yes.
you know,
And it's such a small like scene that like even like kids like they get into it just because of the sound, maybe like the style, you know,
the style, the greasers, you know, the greasers. A lot of Mexican greasers out there.
Yeah, a lot of Mexican American.
The pachucos, you know,
they still have that style with the pop.
Right. Pachuco.
They might not listen to the music,
Yes.
they have the style.
Yes.
And
then by styles, they get into the new music.
Yes.
Like, where are these kids into, you know?
Cool.
That looks good, you know.
Yes.
Also earlier about the whole Richie Valens thing.
Yeah.
Started in Pacoima. That kind of blew
Was
up.
Richie Valens from LA?
Pacoima. It's a part of LA. It's more on the outskirts, like the edge. Probably like the last city before you pass LA. That like no more LA. That's Santa Clarita, I think.
After Hollywood, over the hills.
But yeah, it's all LA. Like the biggest scene in California, it's LA.
Yes.
LA.
It's in LA. And because of the whole, and this is my theory, but like the whole in Pacoima, I think the psychobilly got really big because of the Richie Valens. You go to Pacoima and the shows there, a lot of kids, a lot of young psychobillies are there. Like it's big over there.
Wonderful.
When we started off in 2006, the Grimms, we played a lot in LA, but in LA, like where we live, there was a lot of the punk scene was really big.
Yeah, there you
So
go.
when we went to the valley, like where he's from, that's when we noticed all these psychobilly kids, all this crazy hair and this colors and everything, and that's how we met George.
Yeah, actually, I started my style with psychobilly and everything because I had greaser friends. Like there were a lot of them, and I didn't like the pump that much, so that wasn't my thing. It just wasn't my thing. So I'm like, oh, maybe I'll look into something else. And I saw a guy with a quiff and everything. Oh, I was like, that. I guess that's me.
Yes.
And then from there, there wasn't actually a scene when we started, like maybe 2004. It was mostly like punk, a big punk scene. But then from little bands, that's where like they catch like the style.
Yes.
And they started picking it up, and from there it just blew up.
And like the music too, obviously.
Like where we're from in mid-city Los Angeles, there wasn't that many psychobilly bands. It was all just punk based. There was maybe like 2 psychobilly bands, you know. And from there we branched on and just started another band, the Grimms. And then from there on, when we moved to the valley, started playing there, we noticed that psychobilly is actually, it's a bigger community than we thought, you know?
Yes, cool. You know, I think one of the things that's really interesting, if you compare the American psychobilly scene, which I think is really healthy, and you guys being here, I mean, you're testament to that, right? Is that the, sort of the roots of it are really different than the psychobilly where it was born in England, and then it grew out of the Teddy Boy scene and rockabilly revival and all of that, and then mixed with punk. But you know, coming on like the next generation, that the roots are a little bit different.
Yeah, a little different, but in the end is the same.
The same influences.
Music is just,
especially the fact that like rock and roll started in America.
Yes.
So I mean, a lot of the Hispanic kids, you know, obviously got into it as well, just like Richie Valens, you know.
You are so right about that,
So
because rock and roll is American music. Yeah.
So I mean, from there on, it slowly just starts, you know, evolving, you know.
Yes.
So
Great.
good point. Rock and roll. Like,
Yeah, rock and roll is American. Great.
yeah, it was really big in the early 2000s, you know. The
Yes.
whole, we had like the Records Ball going on over there. They had like the Cenobites play, Oscar Lepticos, all the heavier psychobilly. It was really big around that time, and
Yes.
it was pretty big. But at the moment, I guess a lot of kids were noticing, you know, the old style psychobilly.
Yes.
So a lot of bands were emerging.
Yes.
You had the Curs, you had the Baltics, you had the Grims, you have Rip Fraps, you know.
Yes.
And after that, you know, a lot of kids started, you know, looking
So-
more into the old school psychobilly and the roots.
Yes.
And that's when the style started changing. That's when the scene blew up again, you know.
So how did you get into old school psychobilly? Like, where did you start, and how did you decide that you wanted to do this old school sound?
Well, my first album, was Madsen, the Young, Dumb and Snotty, and I noticed it was definitely not as heavy, but it had so much aggression with the punching like the punching stand-up bass, whatever. I really like the fact that the stand-up was really loud, because in the heavier psychobilly, it was really, you know, you can't really hear the stand-up. You know, it's just all guitar bass, you know,
yeah.
all heavy and distorted, you know, which was cool. It seemed like punk rock to me, you know.
Yes.
But it was still awesome as hell. Like, I'm not gonna say I don't like it.
Yes.
I love it, you know. But I definitely heard something different from the old school. Like, it was just another feeling, another great feeling, and so raw yet so clean with the guitars. You know, I didn't know that you can be as rough and raw with like a nice clean guitar, you know, and plus the sound, the beautiful sound that a stand-up, you know, bass does, you know, to complement the guitar, you know, it's just, and that's why, you know, I did my research, and you know, I expanded, you know, my horizons, and just bought all these albums, and that's when I know this is what I want to play. I want to get into this, you know. So, and that's how we just met all these other psychobillies and just started bands. You know? And that's when the kids started just creating their own music, you know, their own brand of psychobillies. You know, they turned the distortion down and just played with clean guitars, and now we have, you know, a good little scene going on in America.
Yay!
Yeah.
Thank you so much,
Welcome.
hon.